No sé si ella te lo preparaba así. Tantos años con nosotros viéndola hacer las cosas y...
Pobre Ana.
Debemos ir acostumbrándonos a llamarla señora Weston.
Es tan triste que el señor Weston haya tenido la ocurrencia de pensar en ella.
No, papá. No puedo estar de acuerdo contigo. El capitán Weston es un caballero agradable y una persona excelente que merece una buena esposa como lo será Ana. Quiero decir, la señora Weston. Y en cuanto a ella misma, tiene sin duda derecho a un hogar propio. Y a no tener que estar soportando siempre mi mal humor.
Ay, un hogar propio. Un hogar propio. Pero bueno, ¿cuál es la ventaja de tener un hogar propio? ¿Es que no es esto lo suficientemente grande? Además, tú nunca has tenido mal carácter. Ana ha cometido un triste error, tanto para ella como para nosotros.
La veremos a menudo. Tenemos que empezar por devolverles la visita que nos hagan.
Pero querida Emma, ¿piensas que yo estoy para desplazarme hasta Randalls? Es que los vuestros viven en Randalls.
Nadie piensa que vayas andando, papá. Iremos en coche.
No. Jane detesta sacar los caballos para un paseo tan corto. Además, ¿dónde íbamos a dejar los pobres animales mientras que estemos en casa de los Weston?
En el establo, evidentemente, papá.
¿Qué? ¿Qué ocurre, Emma?
Es el señor Knightley. Acaba de llegar.
Buenos días, señor Knightley.
Buenos días, James. ¿Qué? ¿Cómo están todos?
El señor y la señorita están en casa. Se alegrarán de verle.
Muchas gracias, James.
Señor Knightley.
Buenos días, señor Woodhouse. ¿Qué tal desde la última vez? Oh, por Dios.
Nos alegra mucho verle, señor Knightley.
Especialmente hoy, en que acabamos de sufrir la deserción de Ana.
Pues después hablaremos de ese lamentable tema. ¿Cómo está nuestra familia común?
Su hija Isabel y los niños, mis sobrinos, en perfecto estado de salud.
¿Y su hermano Ernest?
Sigue completando la otra mitad de ese matrimonio saludable y feliz.
Es muy amable de su parte el haberse desviado tan especialmente para tranquilizarnos. Habrá tenido una cabalgada desapacible.
No, nada de eso. Precisamente hace un día extraordinario. Tanto que voy a tener que apartarme un poco de su fuego.
Sorprendente. Aquí hemos tenido una lluvia horrible.
Papá. Si en Hartfield hace más de una semana que no llueve.
Y a propósito, ¿cómo ha ido todo? La boda, quiero decir.
Odio los cambios. Usted lo sabe. Y el matrimonio es un cambio. Pobre Ana.
Debía usted decir más bien, pobre señor y señorita Woodhouse. Usted sabe que yo le aprecio mucho, tanto como a Emma. Pero cuando de dependencia e independencia se trata, creo que para la señora Weston será mucho más fácil atender a una sola persona que a dos.
Especialmente cuando una de esas personas es caprichosa. Es lo que está pensando y por cortesía no dice.
Sí, ciertamente. Supongo que alguna vez me habré convertido en una persona caprichosa y molesta.
Papá, no hablaba de ti, sino de mí misma. Al señor Knightley le gusta encontrarme defectos, lo sabes.
¡Qué horrible idea! Pero ¿cómo? Caprichosa mi hija. Sí, es la criatura más encantadora. Bueno, y respecto a la boda, pues todo fue como debía ser. Sin lágrimas, ni alborotos. Mi querida Emma lo condujo todo con ese especial tacto que
Estoy convencido de que Emma lo condujo todo tal y como lo tenía planeado.
¿Planeado o planeado? Eso suena...
Papá, lo que el señor Knightley quiere decir es que no ha olvidado que yo concerté ese matrimonio hace 4 años, cuando todo el mundo decía que el capitán Weston no se casaría de nuevo.
Querida hija, mira, yo te agradecería que nunca más te dedicaras a casamentera. Estas son horribles diabluras que deshacen el círculo de las familias.
Solo una boda más. La del señor Elton. ¿Tú aprecias al señor Elton, no es cierto?
Muchacho atento, agradable.
Estoy segura de que en Highbury deben existir jóvenes que lo merezcan.
Ah. Well, I must be returning to Donwell, I suppose.
Oh, no, please, Mr. Knightley, do not leave us just yet. Father and I must spend all our days alone together now, so we shall be more than ever grateful for your company.
Emma, my dear, the door. The door, my dear, if you'll be so good. There's a most dreadful draught round my feet.
I say Mr. Knightley will be more than ever welcome, Papa, now that we are to spend our days alone together, without Miss Taylor. Mrs. Weston, as I suppose I should now call her.
Poor Miss Taylor, poor Miss Taylor. What a pity it was that Mr. Weston ever set eyes on her. Yes, it is a sad business indeed.
Oh, come, Weston's an excellent fellow. He's been a widower too long. He'll make her the admirable husband that she deserves. But you and Emma will lose housekeeper, governess, companion, and friend all at one stroke. It's poor Mr. and Miss Woodhouse, in my opinion.
Especially when one of them is such a fanciful, troublesome creature, Mr. Knightley. Come, speak your mind honestly, sir.
That's very true, my dear. I'm afraid I am very troublesome and fanciful these days.
Oh, dearest Papa, as though we could possibly mean you. No, Mr. Knightley was merely pursuing his self-appointed task of putting me in my place and keeping me well aware of my faults, were you not, sir?
I said nothing. It was you.
To have taken upon yourself, I grant you. But never mind. We understand each other, do we not? Have another piece of wedding cake. It really is delicious.
No, thank you.
Emma, my dear good child, whatever are you doing? There will be no Miss Taylor to look after you now, don't forget, if you become unwell.
Oh, Father, when have you known me have one day's indisposition since I was a child? I have an extremely robust constitution. Have I not, Mr. Knightley?
I must say I think you have, Emma.
Dear Emma bears everything so well. But she will miss poor Miss Taylor more than she imagines.
It's quite impossible that she should not. But she knows how much this marriage is to Miss Taylor's advantage. It really is a most satisfactory thing for all concerned, I should consider.
Thank you, Mr. Knightley. I take that as a great compliment coming from you, because I flatter myself that I was chiefly responsible for the match.
Oh, come now, Emma, really.
Oh, yes. Ever since the day that Miss Taylor and I first met Mr. Weston in Broadway Lane, and because it began to mizzle, he darted into Farmer Mitchell's and brought us 2 umbrellas. From that very moment, I planned the match. Oh. You may smile, Mr. Knightley, but it's the truth.
My dear, I wish you would not make matches, for they are most troublesome and wretched affairs.
Oh, I promise to make none for myself, Papa, but I do not promise to restrain myself on behalf of others, because it's the greatest amusement in the world. And after such a success...
Success? What do you mean by success?
Why do you not call it a success, then? That 2 such admirable and well-suited people should come together?
Yes, but success supposes some kind of endeavour. Now, am I to understand that you have been labouring these past 4 years to bring this match about? It's a fine occupation for a young lady, I must say.
Mr. Knightley dearly loves to chide me as though I was still in the nursery, do you not, sir?
Indeed, I do not.
Oh, yes, you do. But I would have you know that I am no longer of an age to be made to stand in the corner for talking too much. Happily, for I should no doubt be there a great deal, I'm afraid.
You merely said to yourself one day how delightful it would be were Mr. Weston to marry Miss Taylor, and as it happened, he did. Now, what's there to be proud of in that? You merely made a lucky guess, that's all.
And have you never known the pleasure of a lucky guess, Mr. Knightley?
Certainly. But if you ask me, one is likely to do far more harm than good by interference.
Dear Emma never thinks of herself whether it's good to be done to others. But pray, my dear, no more matches, please. They break up one's domestic circle most grievously.
Only one more, Papa.
Now restrain yourself, Emma. Just because you're in need of a new source of entertainment, that's no good reason for turning your attention in some other poor fellow's direction.
Have no fear, Mr. Knightley. I would never presume to perform my good offices upon your behalf.
Ha! Indeed, I should hope not.
No, the person I think most in need of help in that direction at the moment is Mr. Elton.
Elton?
Elton? What about Mr. Elton?
Thought as he was joining their hands together today, poor young man, he would so much have liked someone to be performing the same office for him.
Poor young man indeed.
He has been here for nearly a whole year now, and I hear he has fitted up the vicarage exceedingly well. And a clergyman, more than most men, needs a wife to support and sustain him. But there are so few young women in Highbury who are in any way suitable. But never mind. I shall keep my eyes open, you may depend upon it.
Poor Miss Taylor. She was so happy here. Why should she give up being your governess only to be married?
I'm grown now. She cannot put up with my ill humours forever. She must wish for children of her own.
You have no ill humours. Your own mother, God rest her, could be no more real than Miss Taylor. Can she truly wish to give life to a mewling infant who will import disease each time it enters the house? No. I said poor Miss Taylor, and poor indeed she is.
As an old friend of the family, I had to ask as soon as I got back, who cried the most at the wedding?
And how is my sister? Is your brother giving her the respect we Woodhouse ladies deserve?
Poor Isabella. She was the first to leave me. No doubt that is where Miss Taylor got the notion to go.
Don't be too hard on Miss Taylor. Must be easier for her to have only one to please than two.
Especially when one of us is such a troublesome creature.
Yes, I am. Most troublesome.
Dear Papa, I could never mean you. Mr. Knightley loves to find fault with me, that's all. It's his idea of a joke.
I'm practically a brother to you, Emma. Is it not a brother's job to find fault with his sister?
But where is the fault with you? Emma bears it well, but she is most sorry to lose Miss Taylor.
We would not like Emma so well as we do if she did not miss her friend.
Thank you.
I shall miss her so. I do not know what I shall do without her.
She's not far.
Almost half a mile.
Her obligations are there now. She cannot sit and talk with me in the old way, or walk with me, or urge me to better myself.
Well, that should not matter, as you always did just as you pleased.
Yes, but I shall miss her urging me. She was as selfless a friend as I have ever had. And I hope to say someday I have done half as much for someone as Mrs. Weston did for me.
You must be happy that she settled so well.
Indeed. One matter of joy, and this is that I made the match myself. People said Mr. Weston would never marry again, and what a triumph.
Triumph? You made a lucky guess.
Have you never known the triumph of a lucky guess? Had I not promoted Mr. Weston's visits and given encouragement where encouragement was needed, we might not have had a wedding today.
Then please, my dear, encourage no one else. Marriage is so disrupting to one's social circle.
Only one more, Papa. When Mr. Elton joined their hands today, he looked very much as if he would like the same kind office performed for him.
Invite him for dinner. That is kindness enough.
Mr. Elton is a man of 26. He knows how to take care of himself.
One does not like to generalize about so many people all at once, Mr. Knightley, but you may be sure that men know nothing about their hearts, whether they be 6 and 20 or 6 and 80. Excepting you, of course, Father. No, Mr. Elton will be the next person to benefit from my help.
Poor Miss Taylor, indeed. It is Mr. Elton who deserves our pity.
There is still time to reconsider, my dear Miss Taylor. Come back home with us. James will not mind turning the carriage round, and nobody you know would take it amiss.
Papa, Mr. Weston would take it very much amiss.
Dear Mr. Woodhouse, you are very kind. I shall miss Hartfield, but I am very happy to become Mr. Weston's wife. Truly, I am.
But it's all very disturbing, Emma. 6 good hens and now Miss Taylor. It's sad business. Good morning. Good morning.
Repeat after me. I, William Francis Weston.
I, William Francis Weston.
Take thee, Anna Taylor.
Take thee, Anna Taylor.
Poor Miss Taylor.
Oh, Father.
What a pity it is that Mr. Weston never thought of her.
But, Father, you wouldn't have Miss Taylor live with us forever when she could have a house of her own. It's been a long time since I needed a governess.
She will never see us now. Randalls is such a distance.
It's barely half a mile, Father. Depend upon it, we shall see Mrs. Weston nearly every day.
Well, I take it very ill when people get married and go away. I think they should not do it.
Will you play at backgammon, Father?
Oh. Why will people call at such a late hour?
There you are. How are you, Thomas, and your family?
Very well, Mr. Knightley. Thank you, sir.
Well, how did it go? I'm sorry to have missed it. How did you all behave? Who cried most?
Poor Miss Taylor.
Poor Mr. Woodhouse? Poor Miss Woodhouse, if you like, but I can't say poor Miss Taylor. At the very least, she has only one to please now, not 2.
Especially when one of those 2 is such a fanciful, troublesome creature. Is that what you were thinking?
Perhaps.
I'm afraid that's very true. I believe I am sometimes very fanciful and troublesome.
Oh, dearest Papa, I didn't mean you. Mr. Knightley didn't mean you. I meant only myself. Mr. Knightley loves to find fault with me, you know.
Oh, dear.
In a joke. It is all a joke.
Ah, yes, of course.
We always say what we like to one another. Well, you want to hear about the wedding? We'll behave charmingly. Everybody punctual, everybody in their best looks, not a tear and hardly a long face to be seen.
Dear Emma bears everything so well.
But every friend of Miss Taylor's must be glad to see her married.
And you've forgotten one matter of joy to me, that I made the match myself.
You made a lucky guess, Emma. That's all that can be said for you.
I wish you would not make matches, my dear. For whatever you say always comes to pass. Pray, do not make any more of them, Emma.
Oh, I promised to make none for myself, Papa, but I must indeed for other people. Poor Mr. Elton now. I must look about for a wife for him.
You'd do better to leave the poor man alone, Emma.
But he has been here a whole year, and he has fitted out the vicarage so comfortably, it'd be a shame to have him single any longer.
Oh dear. Poor Miss Taylor. You must stop this at once, Emma, this matchmaking. It is of the greatest misfortune for poor Miss Taylor. Just think, she's been with us and our family for 17 years. She might have stayed here till she died, if you'd left well alone.
Misfortune? But now she has the greatest future ahead. A husband she loves, a house, and maybe even a family.
A family? Surely not.
Surely you would not deny her that. She's looked after us so well and for so long.
Mothers die, and that is a fact. Miss Taylor is not young. Oh, dear. You should not make matches or predictions. Unfortunately, they all come true.
Everybody said that Mr. Weston would never remarry, yet I knew from that day with the umbrellas that he would marry Miss Taylor. It is my greatest success.
Success? And how do you reckon that? Success implies endeavour. Just saying to yourself, I think it would be a fine thing if Miss Taylor and Mr. Weston were to marry, and then repeating it to yourself every so often, is not the same as bringing it about.
Just at the moment when Mr. Weston bought Randalls and was considering how to fill it, I was there to smooth the way.
Ah, just in time. Emma was in the process of likening you to some new drapes or a sofa. I believe congratulations are in order.
Now, Emma, enough is enough. No more matchmaking. This house cannot stand another departure.
Oh, certainly. Your father is right, Miss Woodhouse. This is a poor, empty old house. Now there's just you and your father. Here, huh? A ghost house. I wonder you'll be able to sleep at night.
So how was the wedding? Who cried most?
Cook told me the Perry children took all the cake. I don't believe her. It's good of you to exert yourself this evening, to visit us here after your journey.
It is a short walk and I'm fond of it.
I think we are part of his exercise regime. A mile's walk and a daily scolding of Emma is just what Dr. Perry prescribes.
Randall's is only half a mile away. It's an easy walk, and by carriage you might visit the Weston several times a day if you chose.
It is true. I've already had the coachman measure the journey.
And now that I have returned from London, I thought you might like to hear more about the new addition to our family. Baby Emma is already looking every bit as lively and mischievous as her aunt.
How am I to bear it when you are gone?
I'm going only half a mile, Emma.
But great is the difference between a Mrs. Weston half a mile away and a Miss Taylor in the house.
Dear Emma.
You have been a friend and companion such as few possess. A governess in office, but little short of a mother in affection. I wish you every happiness on your wedding day.
Poor Miss Taylor! It's a pity Mr. Weston ever thought of her.
Papa, Mr. Weston is such a good-humoured, pleasant, excellent man. He thoroughly deserves a good wife. And you would not have had Miss Taylor live with us forever when she might have had a house of her own.
A house of her own. Where is the advantage of a house of her own? This is 3 times as low. It's entirely unnecessary. Poor Miss Taylor. Poor Isabella.
My sister married 7 years ago, Papa. You must be reconciled to it by now.
That was a terrible day.
It shall always be a matter of great joy to me that I made the match myself. Everyone said Mr. Weston would never marry again. But I did not believe it.
Emma, you should not make matches or foretell things. Whatever you say always comes to pass. You must not make any more.
I promised to make none for myself, Papa. But I must indeed for other people. It is the greatest amusement in the world.
About to say, sir.
Why do you keep a carriage if you never put it out?
It's just such a shame to see it standing by. A gentleman on foot, it's
Unusual.
unusual.
Good evening, Mrs. Reynolds.
At last, Mr. Knightley. You must have had a shocking walk.
Not at all, sir. It's a beautiful evening.
You must have found it very damp and dirty.
Dirty, sir. Look at my shoes. Not a speck on them. How do you do? I came to wish you joy.
Joy? Oh, the wedding. It's a terrible day.
So how did you all behave? Who cried the most?
We all behaved charmingly. Everybody was in their best looks. Not a tear, and hardly a long face to be seen.
Bring the screen a little closer. Mr. Knightley feels a chill.
And what of Mr. Frank Churchill? Is he every bit as handsome as his father promised he would be? He did not come.
You see, he wished exceedingly to come, but his aunt and uncle could not spare him.
Well, I dare say he might have come if he could.
I do not know why you should say so.
If Frank Churchill had wanted to attend his father's wedding, he would have contrived it. He chose not to come.
We have never met Mr. Frank Churchill. We do not know what he is able or unable to do.
There is one thing, Emma, which a man can always do if he chooses, and that is his duty. It is Frank Churchill's duty to pay this attention to his father.
He also has a duty to his aunt who is unwell.
Mrs. Churchill has been unwell for as long as she could say so. Her nephew is not a doctor. If he had told her simply and resolutely that he must attend his father's wedding, there would have been no opposition to his going.
You are the worst judge in the world, Mr. Knightley, of the difficulties of dependence. You've always been your own master. You have no idea what it is to have tempers to manage.
I shall remember that next time you quarrel with me.